UNICEF relies on country offices to help carry out its work through a unique program of cooperation developed with the host government. The programs last 5 years and seek to develop practical strategies for fulfilling and protecting the rights of children and women. Regional offices guide this work and provide technical assistance to country offices as needed. Overall management and administration of the organization take place at its New York headquarters, where global policy on children is shaped. Guiding and monitoring all of UNICEF's work is an executive board made up of 36 members who are government representatives. The board establishes policies, approves programs and decide on administrative and financial plans and budgets. Its work is coordinated by the Bureau, comprising the president and 4 vice presidents, each officer representing one of the 5 regional groups. These 5 officers are elected by the executive board annually from among its members, with the presidency rotating among the regional groups on an annual basis. As a matter of custom, permanent members of the Security Council do not serve as officers of the executive board. The Office of the Secretary of the Executive Board helps maintain an effective relationship between the Executive Board and the UNICEF Secretariat, and organizes field visits by board members. The following countries are home to UNICEF regional offices. The Americas and Caribbean Regional Office, Panama City, Panama Europe and Central Asia Regional Office, Geneva, Switzerland East Asia and the Pacific Regional Office, Bangkok, Thailand Eastern and Southern Africa Regional Office, Nairobi, Kenya Middle East and North Africa Regional Office, Amman, Jordan South Asia Regional Office, Kathmandu, Nepal West and Central Africa Regional Office, Senegal. There are national committees in 36 developed countries, each established as an independent local non-governmental organization. Their primary function is to raise funds from the public sector, as UNICEF is entirely dependent on voluntary contributions. National committees collectively account for about 1/3 of the agency's annual income, including from corporations, civil society organizations, around 6 million individual donors worldwide. In the United States, Nepal and some other countries, UNICEF is known for its Trick or Treat for UNICEF program, in which children collect money for UNICEF from the houses they trick or treat on Halloween night, sometimes instead of candy. UNICEF is present in 191 countries and territories around the world, but not involved in 9 others: Bahamas, Brunei, Cyprus, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Malta, Mauritius, Monaco, Singapore, and Taiwan. Many people in developed countries first hear about UNICEF's work through the activities of one of the 36 national committees for UNICEF. These non-governmental organizations (NGO) are primarily responsible for fundraising, selling UNICEF greeting cards and products, creating private and public partnerships, advocating for children's rights, and providing other support. The U.S. Fund for UNICEF is the oldest of the national committees, founded in 1947. On 19 April 2007, Grand Duchess Maria Theresa of Luxembourg was appointed UNICEF Eminent Advocate for Children, in which role she has visited Brazil 2007, China 2008, and Burundi 2009. In 2009, the British retailer Tesco used "Change for Good" as advertising, which is trademarked by UNICEF for charity usage but not for commercial or retail use. This prompted the agency to say, "It is the first time in UNICEF's history that a commercial entity has purposely set out to capitalize on one of our campaigns and subsequently damage an income stream which several of our programs for children are dependent on." They went on to call on the public, who have children's welfare at heart, to consider carefully who they support when making consumer choices. In 2003, UNICEF sponsored Italian football club Piacenza Calcio 1919 until 2008. On 7 September 2006, an agreement between UNICEF and the Spanish Catalan Association Football Club FC Barcelona was reached whereby the club would donate €1.5 million per year to the organization for 5 years. As part of the agreement, FC Barcelona would wear the UNICEF logo on the front of their uniforms in the color yellow, as seen in the picture on the right of Lionel Messi. This was the first time a football club sponsored an organization rather than the other way around. It was also the first time in FC Barcelona's history that they have had another organization's name across the front of their uniform. In 2016, the team signed a new 4-year sponsorship deal with UNICEF, guaranteeing the organisation £1.58 million per year and free advertising. In January 2007, UNICEF struck a partnership with Canada's national tent pegging team. The team was officially re-flagged as UNICEF Team Canada, and its riders wear UNICEF's logo in competition, and team members promote and raise funds for UNICEF's campaign against childhood HIV/AIDS. When the team became the 2008 tent pegging world champions, UNICEF's flag was raised alongside the Canadian flag at the Games, the first time in the history of international Grand Prix equestrian competition that a non-state flag has flown over the medal podium. The Swedish club Hammarby followed the Spanish and Canadian lead on 14 April 2007, also raising funds for UNICEF and displaying the UNICEF name on their sportswear. The Danish football club Brøndby participated in a similar arrangement from 2008 to 2013. In 2007, NASCAR driver Jacques Villeneuve has occasionally placed the UNICEF logo on the number 27 Bill Davis racing pickup truck in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Australian A-League club Sydney FC announced they would also enter into a partnership with UNICEF raising funds for children in the Asia-Pacific region, and would also display the UNICEF logo for the remainder of the 2011-12 A-League season. In Botswana, UNICEF has funded the development of new state-of-the-art HIV/AIDS education for every schoolchild in Botswana from non-profit organisation Teach AIDS. UNICEF announced a landmark partnership with Scottish club Rangers FC. UNICEF partnered with the Rangers Charity Foundation and pledged to raise £300,000 by 2011. In 2010, UNICEF created a partnership with Phi Iota Alpha, making them the first Greek-lettered organisation UNICEF has ever worked with. In 2011, Phi Iota Alpha raised over $20,000 for the TAP project and the Trick or Treats for UNICEF campaign. In 2013, they agreed a contract with Greek Association football champions Olympiakos FC, who will show the organization's logo on the front of their shirts. Started in 2015, Kid Power is a division of UNICEF that was created as an effort to involve kids in helping other kids in need. UNICEF Kid Power developed the world's first wearable for good, called Kid Power Bands, which is a kids' fitness tracker bracelet that connects to a smartphone app. The app lets users complete missions, which counts total steps and awards points. The points then unlock funding from partners, which is then used by UNICEF to deliver life-saving packets of therapeutic food to severely malnourished children around the world. Since 1950, when a group of children in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, donated $17 which they received on Halloween to help post-World War II victims, the Trick or Treat UNICEF box has become a tradition in North America during the fall. These small orange boxes are handed to children at schools and other locations before 31 October. As of 2012, the Trick or Treat for UNICEF campaign has collected approximately $91 million in Canada and over $167 million in the US. In 1994, UNICEF held a summit encouraging animation studios around the world to create individual animated spots demonstrating the international rights of children. Cartoons for Children's Rights is the collection of animated shorts based on UNICEF's Convention on the Rights of the Child. To raise money to support its education and literacy programs, UNICEF collaborates with companies worldwide, international as well as small and medium-sized businesses. Since 2004, the organization has been supported by Mont Blanc, working collaboratively to help the world's children getting better access to education. According to Vaccine News Daily, Merck & Co. partnered with UNICEF in June 2013 to decrease maternal mortality, HIV and tuberculosis prevalence in South Africa. Merck's program, Merck for Mothers, will give $500 million worldwide for programs that improve health for expectant mothers and their children. In May 2010, Crucell NV announced an additional $110 million award from UNICEF to supply its pentavalent pediatric vaccine Quinvaxum to the developing world. UNICEF works directly with companies to improve their business practices, bringing them in line with obligations under international law, and ensuring that they respect children's rights in the realms of the marketplace, workplace, and the community. In 2012, UNICEF worked with Save the Children and the United Nations Global Compact to develop the children's rights and business principles, and now these guidelines form the basis UNICEF's advice to companies. UNICEF works with companies seeking to improve their social sustainability by guiding them through a due diligence process where issues throughout their supply chain, such as child labor, can be identified and actions to ratify them are put in place. The Girl Star Project is a series of films which documents stories of girls from the most disadvantaged communities across 5 northern states in India who, via education, have managed to break socio-economic constraints to make a success of their lives and become self-sufficient. These young women have grown to become role models in their communities, inspiring younger girls to go to school and continue their education. They have selected professions from the most conventional such as teaching and nursing, to the most unconventional like archery, beekeeping, scrap management, often entering what has traditionally been a man's domain. Kids United is a French musical group of 6 children when the group was formed, born between 2000 and 2007. It has been created to support UNICEF campaigns and is sponsored by Hélène Ségara and Corneille, 2 francophone singers. The first album Un Monde Meilleur, A Better World, was launched on Universal Children's Day in 2015. It received gold certification in France. The second album Tout le bonheur du monde was even certified 2x platinum. U-Report is a free SMS social monitoring tool and real-time information system for community participation, designed to strengthen community-led development, citizen engagement, and positive change. SMS polls and alerts are sent out to U-reporters and real-time response information is collected. Results and ideas are shared back with the community. Issues polled include among others health, education, water, sanitation and hygiene, youth unemployment, HIV, AIDS, disease outbreaks, social welfare sectors. The initiative is currently operational in 41 countries and covers more than 3 million people. On 19 June 2019 the 2021 Rugby League World Cup, England, announced that UNICEF would become the official tournament charity. The announcement was made at Mansion House, London as part of a launch event for the Rugby League World Cup Legacy programme called, Inspired by RLWC 2021. The partnership aims to use the power of sport to raise awareness and funds for UNICEF's work protecting children in danger around the world. In addition to the general promotion of the charity at matches and events, the 2021 Rugby League World Cup chief executive has also stated that there will be an officially designated, UNICEF, game at some point during the Men's World Cup. UNICEF ambassadors are leaders in the entertainment industry, representing the fields of film, television, music, sports and beyond. They help raise awareness of the needs of children, and use their talent and fame to fundraise, advocate, and educate on behalf of UNICEF. The Old UNICEF World Warehouse is a large facility in Denmark, which hosts UNICEF deliverable goods as well as co-hosts emergency goods for United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, and the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, IFRC. Until 2012 the facilities was a 25,000 square meters warehouse at Marmormolen in Copenhagen. With construction of a 45,000 square meters UN city that is to house all UN activities in Copenhagen under one roof, the warehouse service has been relocated to outer parts of the Freeport of Copenhagen. The facility houses the UNICEF Supply Division which manages strategic hubs in Dubai, Douala, and Cologne. The warehouse contains a variety of items, e.g., food supplements, water purification tablets, dietary and vitamin supplements, and the school in a box, illustrated above. The UNICEF Innocenti Research Center in Florence, Italy, was established in 1988. The center, formerly known as the International Child Development Centers, has as its prime objectives to improve international understanding of issues relating to children's rights, to promote economic policies that advance the cause of children, and to help facilitate the full implementation of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child in industrialized and developing countries. The program for 2006 to 2008 was approved by UNICEF Executive Board in September 2005. It reaffirms the center's academic freedom and the focus of IRC's research on knowledge gaps, emerging questions and sensitive issues which are relevant to the realization of children's rights, in developing and industrialized countries. It capitalizes on IRC's role as an interface between UNICEF field experience, international experts, research networks and policy makers, and is designed to strengthen the center's institutional collaboration with regional academic and policy institutions, pursuing the following goals: generation and communication of strategic and influential knowledge on issues affecting children and the realization of their rights, knowledge exchange and brokering, support to UNICEF's advocacy, policies and program development in support of the Millennium Agenda, securing and strengthening the center's institutional and financial basis. 3 interrelated strategies guide the achievement of these goals: evidence-based analysis drawing on quantitative and qualitative information, the application of appropriate methodologies, and the development of recommendations to assess and inform advocacy and policy action. Enhanced partnerships with research and policy institutions and development actors, globally and at regional level, in developing and industrialized countries. Communication and leveraging of research findings and recommendations to support policy development and advocacy initiatives through strategic dissemination of studies and contribution to relevant events and fora. UNICEF's programmatic objectives include the promotion of safe abortions and education in family planning and in the use of contraception. In a joint declaration of 2011, UNICEF argued the need to combat the spread of selective abortion through plans that favored, inter alia, the use of safe abortion services and family planning programs in order to decrease the use of abortion. In 2013, together with WHO, it published an integrated plan of guidelines for the prevention of infant mortality caused by pneumonia and diarrhea, including, among the recommended strategies for promoting the health of women and children, access to safe abortion. UNICEF adopts the ABC strategy: abstinence, be faithful and consistent condom use, adopted in various international AIDS prevention interventions. In 1996, the Vatican withdrew its symbolic contribution to UNICEF on the occasion of the publication by UNICEF of a manual on emergency operations for refugee populations which supported the spread of emergency contraceptive practices. Despite this, on several occasions senior UNICEF officials have denied that the organization promoted abortion or family planning methods. UNICEF also supports the adoption by states of laws that guarantee LGBT couples and their children the legal recognition of their status, as these rules would help ensure the best interests of children. UNICEF has a policy preferring orphanages only be used as temporary accommodation for children when there is no alternative. UNICEF has historically opposed the creation of large-scale, permanent orphanages for children, preferring instead to find children places in their extended families and communities, wherever possible. This has led UNICEF to be skeptical of international adoption efforts as a solution to child care problems in developing countries. UNICEF has preferred to see children cared for in their birth countries rather than be adopted by foreign parents. A 2015 article in U.S. News & World Report magazine asserted UNICEF's intervention that on giving large cash payments to developing countries can lead to a cessation of international adoptions until all of its recommendations are in place, and have even labeled UNICEF a «villain» for the extent of its negative impact on orphans. Elizabeth Barthollet and Paolo Barroso have written in this context, encouraging adoption protocols to take on a more child-centric viewpoint. One concern is that the child mortality rate has not decreased in some areas as rapidly as had been planned, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where in 2013, the region still has the highest child mortality rate, 92 deaths per 1,000 live births. And that, globally, nearly half of under 5 deaths are attributable to undernutrition. In 2005, Richard Horton, editor-in-chief of The Lancet, editorialized that, over 60% of these deaths were and remain preventable, and that the coverage levels for these interventions are appallingly low in the 42 countries that account for 90% of child deaths. A $27 million UNICEF program in West Africa in 2001–2005 which was meant to decrease child deaths from disease has been deemed a failure, according to a study that found higher survival rates of children in some regions that weren't included in that program. Critics argue that UNICEF's focus on rights rather than safety and survival is idealistic, and that by focusing on politicized children's rights instead of mere child survival, UNICEF has contributed indirectly to the child mortality crisis. Documents released by Edward Snowden in December 2013 showed that UNICEF was among the surveillance targets of British and American intelligence agencies.